creative friends, my name is Joey Balestrieri, and this is my second video and project with the April curated bead box, and it was called Sunshine Lollipops, and I loved it. So this box was not a challenge for me at all because I loved almost everything in it. It was pretty much my style, and so this was my first little project, this gorgeous antique copper heart-shaped pendant with all the birds and vines. I just absolutely loved it. And we had these beautiful little cylinder beads in the box and a mix of not a mix, we had a package of these oblong blue crystal beads, and then I added in a few little things from my stash and some really pretty denim blue leather, and voila, a really fast but elegant, kind of elegant boho necklace. And I really love this. And what's unusual is this box was very colorful. If you have not received yours yet, or you don't get this box, I'll just show you the thumbnail. I mean, it is a very colorful box with beautiful colors. And it's funny though, because in the box we also got some really elegant things that were more subdued and more neutral, like this bead mix with the crystals and the clear beads. And like, I just absolutely love these filigree tube beads. There were 5 of those in the box. And then what you see here are some gold-filled spacer beads from my stash and some antique copper crystal rondelle spacer beads also from my stash. And both of these are Amazon products and not expensive at all, and I just love having these to work with. So I can link both of those in the description box underneath this video in case any of you would like a little stash of that kind of thing for your own designs. And so what you see here is mostly the bits from that beautiful crystal mix that was in the box. And I have done simple loops on everything, and I've been sitting here doing this, like playing around with the components for this bracelet to see how I liked it. I've tried it every way, and I just am pretty settled on this, and I love the way this is looking. Every single bead is different except for this little component that I created from the mix, and then with my own little spacers and simple loops on 20 gauge wire in gold. And that is what I have used for the whole thing, and I am going to make this a fully adjustable bracelet. And in my first video, I can also link that below, this little half drilled crystal was part of this bead mix. And at first I thought it was an imperfect bead where the drill hole had not gotten all the way through the bead. And then the more that I looked at it, and I don't know if the camera will show you how it's drilled, it's a half drilled bead. And so I showed how I got it to this point in that first video. So again, I'll link that below if you want to see how I got this to this point. And when I did this, I was playing around with the idea of making it a dangle from this necklace. And I just love that as well, but I decided that I just really wanted this heart pendant to speak for itself. But this is so pretty. So I am going to put that as the dangle on the end of my connector chain for my bracelet. And you know, it matches this mix so beautifully. And I just have this little heart that I got at a bead show here in Orlando some time ago, and I think that is going to make its way on my bracelet as well. So let me connect this together with you really quickly. This was a very repetitive project where I just took wire and made simple loop components. So I did all of this off camera, and I did fairly large loops because I want my bracelet to move pretty freely. And I decided that on these stunning, like this beautiful cube bead and this cylinder bead and this other bead, I'll show you, I'll hold it up to the camera when I get to it. But I decided that they are just so beautiful, their shape, their color, being able to see the wire through them. So I decided to just simply make a 1 bead component with those. So look how beautiful this bead is. It is so unusual, like it is kind of offset. I don't even know how to describe this. It's part cube, part like dots. I see dots in it. It's got a kind of frosted part of it, and then the shiny polish side is like where you see the rounds, and I just love it. I mean, I just love it. If I were traveling or in a bead shop, that's the kind of thing that I would grab to bring home and put in a video. So I just love that Curated Bead Box really knocked it out of the park this month. Whoops, I dropped it. So I love the simple loops because they're so easy to connect. And then if you did need to add a link or take one away after your finished piece, it's really simple. So the only component that I did a wire wrapped loop, I took one of those little filigree cylinder bars, and it was very loose on the when I tried it on the wire with a simple loop, and I wanted it to really like stay in place. So I wire wrapped that one because I just wanted it to be like a gold filigree component and not so much a bead. And so as you can see, like once you've made your components, a bracelet like this just comes together so quickly. Oh my goodness. And other than this one little component, every bead is going to like be featured pretty much as the piece goes around my wrist. So I love that. And then I recently got this little chain, and this may seem a little strange to you, but I am mixing gold and copper through the entire piece. So I am going to put a copper chain as my adjustable closure on this bracelet. And this was so cool because you can open these links and they're quite firm. I mean, the gauge of this chain is quite strong, as you can see. And I love that for a little like closure chain on a bracelet. But that's why I put the copper spacers in. I love the gold and the copper just mixed. And so I actually am going to make my own hook out of the same gold wire that is appearing through the piece, which may seem a little strange because I'm going to have a gold hook on the copper chain. But I am really, really loving the mix. And then I'm going to add this little piece that I made. I closed that loop so well before I created this little bail on this piece. But look at that. So again, like just a nice even mix of the copper and the gold and then the crystals. And what I think is going to happen, I have some jump rings here. I think that this little charm with this heart that I made is going to hang from the chain either there or there. But let me make the hook, and then I'll be able to tell exactly where I want to put that. And so making your own little bracelet hook is really easy. I am going to, really any plier will work, but I'm just going to get a hold of my wire, giving myself a little bit of space here, and just get a bend in this wire. Since I'm using 20 gauge wire, I want to double this so I have a little bit more of a substantial hook. And so this part right here that I am folding is actually my hook part, this part that I have folded in half. So I do kind of want to make this pretty. And then I am going to turn this around, and you can either cut this now or you can leave it. I think sometimes I do my loop on this end and then wire wrap all the way down over the hook. So maybe I'll just leave that and go ahead and do that. So I'm going to get my plier in here. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm like saying out loud the choices that I am making in my head about how I'm going to do this clasp, and it probably sounds like a word salad, but I'm just like saying out loud how I'm deciding what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to get a bend in that wire, and this is going to be just like a regular wire wrapped loop. It just feels a little strange because we don't have any beads on the wire yet. So that is that, and I will go ahead and cut this right at the point where my wraps are going to be. And then I want a very small loop because I'm going to put a jump ring through this loop on the end of the bracelet. So I want it to be really small. And you know, the size of your hook will also add some length to your bracelet. So I want to keep it kind of small because I have my length really the way that I want it. And this 4 link of chain, this 4 link section, that did not come out right, you know, gives me connecting points to make it all kinds of sizes, to make it a really loose fitting bracelet or a tighter one, and you know, also having that dangle. So I'm just going to get a hold of that loop really well and just do a normal wire wrapped loop, and I'm going to wrap around both wires, so that little cut end that I just did, and also you know, both of them. And you can do as many as you want. I think I'm going to go just a couple more just because I like the architecture of this. And I am going to put this on my bench block and hammer it. So I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to trim that little piece away and make sure there is nothing sharp on my clasp. So that little end that I just cut, I just press it in. And I'm just going to take my bench block at this point, and I am going to use I'm going to use this little rubber mallet, because I don't know if you can see, but my hook has gotten a tiny bit twisted. So I'm going to try to do this without pausing the camera. I apologize for the bouncing because I'm not on a granite surface, I'm on a table. But this will work harden the wire, but this is also smoothing and straightening. And I'm going to do this end as well, because when I hammer and texture this, I will not hammer and texture this part. So that just made it so that I'm going to use my pliers now and just get this hook this wannabe hook kind of facing the right way. Get a second pair of pliers in there to make my loop. So that's what I love about making these, is that I can hand sculpt these a little bit. I can, you know, make some little adjustments to the form of it after I have it wire wrapped. So that is what I'm doing. I like to take my time and kind of fuss with things a little bit. Okay, and now I will pause the camera because I want to really hammer this, and I also want to, let me switch hammers. I'm going to use my little ball peen hammer, and I'm going to use this flat side to really flatten this out on both sides, and then this little ball side will give it that hammered, that kind of classic dented look. I just think this is really artisan, and I really love the look of this. So I'm just going to pause for a moment and hammer this, and then I'll show you how we turn it into a hook. Okay, and I just want to say, if you like to make these hooks but you don't have a bench block and a hammer, you can totally make them without the hammering effect. It is just something that I do. I've been doing it for a long time because it work hardens it, but also I just like the way it looks. I just think it looks like so much more than a piece of craft wire when I hammer it and texture it. But and I just like the artisan look. But you know, if you are not a person that is interested in getting a bench block and it's something you just don't do on your own work table, you can totally do these without that step. And so now I'm going to come back in with my round nose pliers and really just pick a spot, maybe 1/3 of the way up from where I wrapped. I mean, there's really no science to it, except I just go by looks, and I'm just going to wrap that around my plier, and that is my little hook. And then I usually come back in and kind of kick this out and, you know, play around a little bit with the shape. And it is really, I did this one really petite and really simple. You can also, before you wrap, if you wanted a bead here, you can also do that. I really didn't want to add any length to my bracelet because I have this extender chain here. So I also use that same wire to create some jump rings, and I am going to just take, I just put a little section out here. I'm going to start with just one little small one and see how that goes. A jump ring is also a way to add or take away length in a design. So for instance, if this bracelet turned out to be just too short for what you want, but you love the pattern and you love the beads, you can go back to keep it the same but add a jump ring in between every component, and that would give you extra length. And the same way, you can add 2 or 3 jump rings on the end where your clasp is to add some length. And then if you have used jump rings like here or anywhere like where you might have used a jump ring and you need to shorten it a bit, you can remove them and connect directly to your simple loops. So you know, that is just a little a little tip. And so here's what I love about this style of bracelet. And of course, as anyone who films their work will tell you, you can clasp your bracelet 1,000 times by yourself off camera, and the minute that camera is rolling, you cannot do it. Okay, that is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my goodness, I love that. And here's where I was saying that it might seem strange, because I did think about getting some copper wire to make my hook, but I just think this is so artisan and so unique to have the gold connecting to the copper, and then the copper feeds down into gold here, and then there's the copper, and it just alternates like that through the whole piece. And I absolutely got my length perfect, so I don't feel that I need to put another jump ring there. And just no matter which way this bracelet turns, I have just a gorgeous bead to look at. So I do want to make another little dangle, and I have to just decide where I want it. I was thinking that it would go right about there, and it could go there. I could even choose to do it in the middle of the bracelet, but I think I am going to create it and do it right there. So let me slip this off. And you know, despite the camera giving me trouble to get it, these handmade bracelet clasps are very easy to take on and off by yourself. I mean, this is just gorgeous. I'm done with this little dish. I can push that out of the way, and that little dish. And so this is stunning. This is just absolutely stunning. And so I think I will use a medium-sized jump ring to attach this little heart to the bottom of this component, and then I'll use a tiny jump ring, a smaller one. That's so pretty too. Now these are simple loops, and I did like around 2 millimeter simple loops, so really you could attach it directly to the bracelet, but I just tend to think things, I end up if I don't do that, I end up going back to my dangles and adding a little jump ring. So I think I'm going to go right here on that wrapped loop and add that. And look at this. This was, I realized I did these simple loop components off camera, but that did not take long. And as you can see, putting this together really took no time at all. And this is just so pretty. Do I dare clasp this a second time with the camera rolling? It's the dreaded bracelet clasp curse. Look at that. That is so pretty, and I love the extra little charm. I love the extra little heart there. So no matter how this spins around, no matter how it dangles, I just have something interesting and special all the way around. I just love this. I think this is so elegant. It's a statement, but you could really just wear this every single day. So I hope that you found some inspiration in this quick and easy project. And if you have not tried making your own bracelet closures, they are so wonderful. With your scraps of chain and a little small piece of wire, you can make a closure for anything, and it's elegant and one of a kind and very artisan. So I will get some pictures at the end of the video up so you can have a really close look at what I did here, and I'll put all those links in the description box below. I would love to have emails from all of you with your little furry-faced helpers that are around your work tables. I'm putting them at the end of my videos here and there as they come in, and it's been really a joyful thing for everyone in the community. And I'm super excited because I have finally, after wanting this for many years, I have ordered a dress form to showcase all of my long necklaces and be able to photograph them more easily. And she will be here next week, and I am naming her, and I want to introduce her to all of you, and I'm super excited. So that is coming to my channel next week, and I thank you again for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well and having fun on their beading mats, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, jewelry making friends.